And I'm really proud of you for doing that, and thank you. The mayor's position can be very stressful at times and be a thankless job. And thank you, incumbent Mayor Steve Zachman, for your service to our town and for the desire to keep serving and to keep running independent. So we do appreciate it, and thank you both very much. And here in a minute, well, actually we got 1 minute left. We'll start the questions. I did want to thank you, because I mean it's important to thank our candidates and this running. It is not an easy job. And we also thank all the people here tonight for getting involved, because it's very important to become involved if we're going to have a constitution in place. Well, it is 7 o'clock, so Terry, we'll get our first question.
Sure.
And then Mr. Zachman will get a chance to answer the same question. So what will you do to help clean up the city of Baker?
Well, I've already started doing that.
Chip. Well, I've already started doing that. My husband and I have invested a fair amount of money into Baker. We have restored a 1912 to 14 home and brought it to her glory, and she's gorgeous. But that's just a start, and it's a drop in the bucket, of course. If I were to win this race, I have a 4x4 high bucket of marigold seeds that will start to be dispersed immediately. And I think the ladies, after 4 years of talking with the ladies, that's really what they're looking for, is just really pretty things. They want to see Baker pretty. When it comes to, derelict homes, mowing lawns, those types of things that in the summertime, just keeping up on top of those things, and I know that it's already been done. But to continue that, we have our cleanup day that everybody participates in, wants to know where to put it in the spring, and Mr. Zachman has, done that as well. That's a carryover from what I understand from Jody Pratt, which was a pretty neat little thing, and it really encourages neighbors to be neighborly and to help neighbors be neighborly. So it's an important aspect to the psyche of the town to have it look good. You don't want to bring your family and friends from out of town and it kind of looks kind of unkept. So I would just make sure I kept that up and set an example by just making sure my own home was beautiful. But that's what I would do.
Would you like me to repeat the question, sir?
Yeah, would you please? Thank you.
What would you do to help clean up the city of Baker?
Thanks, Bill. The city of Baker has had a cleanup week for quite a few years, and it's been a bit frustrating in that many of us remember the days when we'd have the school kids go out and they would canvass the town. They start at the school and work at both ends and east to west and do a cleanup, spent all day. That doesn't happen anymore. I think a big part of it is the liability issue with kids out, chance of them getting hurt, but it was a very nice concerted effort to get things done and done quickly. We still have cleanup days. We run a week, 2 weekends, bracketing a week. The participation has been a bit spotty. We're working on some ideas to get that working, trying to get some youth groups. Maybe they would be able to do it. With Fridays off now, most of the school year, we might be able to incorporate something back on Fridays. As far as the weeds, that was a big issue around fair time. The weeds started showing up. I had some classmates that were kind of shocked at the amount of weeds we have in town. I don't know if anybody notices when you go past the railroad tracks up here, BNSF used to have a pretty, I should say a pretty active, but they had a vegetation control program going, and they haven't done that for quite a few years. As luck would have it, this past week I sat on a committee, I participated in a committee with the Montana League of Cities and Towns, working with BNSF. We're just getting started. There's some real serious issues with rights of way for pipelines for water service and sewers with communities. But weeds has been an issue all the way across the state. So we had a good meeting and we had made some good contacts. By the end of the month, we'll have another meeting with BNSF and we'll be able to get hopefully some contacts. No promising for movement on getting anything done being this late in the year, but that bunch of kosher weed growing along that railroad bank has spread into town. You can see it grows pretty fast. We had all that nice rain this summer. It was so nice and green. But boy, when August hit and get towards the end of August, gets hot and the weeds just do great with the heat and the lawns not so much. I do want to say that I had some friends come down from the other parts of the state for a state meeting, state government meeting, and also with the Knights of Columbus State Council. And the timing was perfect. They got here after all those rains. Everything was green. Everybody had mowed their lawns, or most people had mowed their lawns. And bluebird days, the lake was wonderful. We, of course, lied to them and told them it's like this all the time. So we know what it can be, and we just need to strive for that. We do need to work on getting better participation with our community, and communication is just a way to do that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question will go first to Steve and then to Terry. What is your plan with employee retention and recruitment? Specifically speaking, the city crew.
Thanks, Bill. What are we going to do about employee retention and recruitment? That's a pretty tough one. We have required in the past employees to have a CDL, and the national or the federal rules on that have made it quite difficult. Just a couple of years ago, we could have employees hired on, we could have them study for their CDL, take the written part, practice with our equipment, go up to Glendive, do their driving test, and within a few short weeks, they would have their CDL. Different now. We have to send them off to training. This part of the state is pretty sparse as far as opportunities to do that. They have to go and do 7 weeks of driving plus classroom time, which means if we hire someone that doesn't have a CDL, we need to send them away for a while, pay them wages, mileage, possibly room and board. Right now it looks like about a $7,000 cost for us to train somebody to have a CDL. The alternative is to sit and wait until we get somebody that'll hire on that has a CDL. I think probably everybody in this room is aware that we've had difficulty doing that. The other part about the CDL requirements now is in order for us to have somebody qualified to drive our 10-yard air brake dump trucks, our sewer jet truck, or our garbage truck, they need a CDL, but they're qualified for over-the-road trucking across the country. It makes them a very attractive person for every other company out there. And that's what we're concerned about. There's no way to avoid that. We're just going to have to deal with it. We may be able to write some contracts where they agree to stay for a certain period of time, but I'm not sure how enforceable. Fortunately or unfortunately, indentured servitude is a thing of the past. We can't tie them into the job. We are working on training our employees to get them qualified for other departments, water certification, wastewater certification. We've got some positions filled. We've got some that are working on them, but that's the options we have. We are also going out to a talent agency, see if we can have somebody help, what they call them a headhunter, but see if we can find somebody. We were hoping to find a director from another community that wanted to slow down a bit, that already has all the experience, but when you add in all the certifications that are required, it gets difficult to find a position in eastern Montana, especially in a community of 1,800 people. So we're working on it, we're aware of it. If you got any leads, let us know. Thank you.
To repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What is your plan with employee retention and recruitment? Specifically speaking, the city crew.
So I understand the employment retention is an issue, and it has been for many years now. If there's a problem that large for a city that's capable of having the talent here, I don't know that a headhunter bringing in, a foreign body into the mix is going to be the answer. It may have to be, and that's where you're headed. But I see this as a case against having to go out, forcing at a $7,000 bill to go train outside when for 45 years, we've had no problems with that in the first place. So I would advocate at the state level that that's an issue at the $7,000 bill for us. So that would be the first thing I would do, is I would collect the data that has stretched us for the last, if that's the case, for the last however long it's been vacant. And I would advocate at the state level that this needs to change and it needs to come back in-house, where we train our talent that is here, that wants to go to work, and bring them up, and we know them. We know their history, we know their everything. So I think it's something that is a time honored, and then, you know, how did we lose those people in the first place? I mean, did they find another job because they had a CDL? Or did they find another job because of politics? And that's it.
Okay, Terry, this will be, the question will go to you first and then to Steve. Since this is not a primary, will you be running Democrat or Republican? Or is they're asking you to give your, it's your choice to give whether you, what's your party affiliation is. And you don't have to, but you can.
I'm MAGA, just so you know. I am a Trump girl all the way. And I know I'm not a girl anymore, but I am a female that has watched this man since I was a young girl. And he's not perfect, but he has great policy for our country. And that is the only reason I stepped into the arena. Because this man has my back, he has the country's back, and he has my children's back. I have not seen any presidential situation that I can say that out loud. So yes, I am a MAGA, and I am definitely for the constitutional republic.
It's my fault too, because we should not leave out the libertarians and the independents and whatever else, because you may be an independent, you may be a libertarian.
Absolutely.
And you may be a Republican or Democrat, either one. So, and it is your choice to let us know if you choose to, Steve.
Thanks, Bill. No problem. I'm a conservative, registered Republican. I believe that both parties have some good points. I know that both parties in their hearts are striving for the best thing for the communities and for this country. There are some erroneous thoughts out there. There's a lot of falsehoods out there. And then when the accusations fly, making up reasons why somebody else does something, it bears some research to find out what the full context of what's being reported is. So that being said, I do think that we need to listen to both sides. I think we're smart enough to weed out, especially in a local government here, to understand what people are looking for and to draw them out a little more, maybe to find out if they have opinions that are different than ours, draw them out a little more and find out. I have no problem having someone come to me and tell me I'm wrong, and I'll stand there until they prove that I am. I'm fine with that. I will admit it does happen. So, thank you.
Okay, Steve, you'll take the next question first, please. What is the largest budget you have ever managed?
The largest budget I've ever managed is this year's city budget, between property tax revenue, oil and gas revenue, special gas tax, investments, and the enterprise funds. Our budget this year is right around $5.6 million.
$1. No, just kidding. No. My biggest budget was $280,000, and that was for an air show that I produced out in the Pacific on the Big Island of Hawaii, and we came in under budget. So, and I've done lots of billings that exceeded that in totality, but not as individual billings. So I've done a lot of billing that for multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire companies. And so I know the aspects of checks and balances with lots of zeros. And primarily with aircraft, so.
Okay, Terry, this question will go to you first. What are your thoughts on the chamber, and what will you do to promote chamber small business in the community?
I think chamber is good for the community as the idea of the chamber. When it comes to the national or international chamber of commerce, I'm not a big fan because it's UN based, it's UN derived, and I'm not a fan of the UN. But when it comes to this small town, I see it thriving. I absolutely see the engagement, and I see the people happy with it. So am I happy with the UN? No, not at all. Am I happy with the chamber? On an international level? No. On a local level? Absolutely. I do encourage the connection that the chamber achieves at the business level. It's so important that business talks and shares ideas and shares projects, because that's how you get the community out from the outside into the inside, into the city. But what I do have a question about is how do we separate the UN from its taint on the international level to what's happening at a local level? And that's where I get defensive. Don't mess with America. And that's what I want. I don't want us to be part of a one world order or a national agenda or an international agenda that isn't America. America is America. We are number one to America. And if Chamber of Commerce is going to be part of this community like it is, absolutely, bring it. But I hope that the Chamber of Commerce literally checks itself at the national level and at the international level, and they have yet to do that. So am I still putting my elbows out to protect? You bet. Not exactly like a child. I'm not gonna let anybody get to the inner workings of Baker. But if the second I see that our national allows the Chamber of Commerce to freely be, just like TikTok has the backing of China, so we need to make sure that we keep everything America first.
Okay, Steve, what are your thoughts on the chamber, and what will you do to promote the chamber and small business in the community?
Thanks, Bill. My thoughts on the chamber are it's a very necessary asset for the community. They work together to put projects on, and that's why most of the public sees that they've got events to draw people out to participate in the businesses and promote the community. Other than that, they have monthly meetings, they have board meetings, and it's kind of nice to sit and watch the collaboration between the different businesses, the business owners, the ones that can make it to the meetings, the ones that can participate in projects. It's that networking amongst them for the good for each other's businesses and passing on information, or if somebody's looking for something, it's nice to see. We used to, a little bit of history, and it was good years ago because the business owners were able to make the chamber meetings because they had enough employees, there was enough business to where they could slip out of the store for an hour and have the meeting. And now we have more service industries that help out, which is good. The business owners oftentimes can't, the principal people in the businesses can't, but they have a good network of communicating. They email out information. It's gotten really active again with projects, with programs that they're putting on, supporting not only the local businesses, but just the general welfare of the community, supporting school events and whatnot. So really impressed with our chamber, and it's very, very necessary that we continue to, as members of the community, to participate with that. The city is a member of the chamber. We collaborate with them where we can on grants. They help take a look at, we've got something coming up here shortly. We're going to do looking at, possibly, I think it'll happen, the Main Street master plan, downtown business master plan, and get all the business owners involved so we can do some long-range planning for our downtown area businesses. We can, if the businesses look, if the community looks thriving on the downtown area, it's going to pass throughout the community. We're going to draw people. Tourism is getting a big push in eastern Montana, and that's part of that. So if we can make a good, successful, thriving little core in our community, the chamber is a huge part of that, then we're all better off. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, you'll take this question first. What is your plan to promote Baker, to get companies to come to Baker?
My plan is to have the city, as I just mentioned with Chamber, but also with our economic development groups, collaborating with them to put on events. We have SMART, which focuses more on events and programs to draw people to town. Eastern Montana Economic Development Authority works on the more major projects, whether it's structures or getting businesses created. Southeast Montana Tourism, we work with that, where Baker isn't a major part in that, but we do communicate with them and we help where we can. We do have some liaison with the Department of Commerce in looking for businesses to bring into the state. It's tough to compete in eastern Montana with the bigger communities. If you've got mountains and trees, you've got a little more than what people think Baker has to offer. But we have a very attractive tax structure here. Property tax is lower here than in most other places, so we have that going for us. A little short on buildings available to offer. Sometimes that can get remedied pretty quickly, but it's just basically keeping in touch with the Department of Commerce, keeping in touch with the economic development organizations. Eastern Plains Economic Development Corporation, that helps with the 5 different counties on this end. They're working hard on that all the time, and they're a great resource. It doesn't cost the city anything other than some membership fees and participation. So we have to have a hand in it. We can't leave it up to 1 or 2 organizations. I think we all need to collaborate and work at it together. Thank you.
Terry, what is your plan to promote Baker, to get companies to come into Baker?
Thank you. I'm a foundation person, and I have to look at the foundation of what we have. And if I see that the foundation hasn't been taken care of, how do you bring in more usage on those things? And I'm saying water for the primary. We've got breakage, and the fix, but we don't have new water lines coming in, or, you know, just the infrastructure just in the roads. And we gotta feel better about Baker before we bring in the big boys or the, you know, the new business that, you know, is gonna even tax more onto those utilities. It just, to me, is, let's make Baker strong. Let's take care of what we have, and the business will come. You have to make it right for it to be attractive, and people know what right is. So I would go right into the infrastructure and making sure that our water, sewage is, and our roads are solid.
Okay, Terry, this next question is for you first. Describe an emergency situation you managed on behalf of the public.
On behalf of
So we had an emergency situation. We were on the airport, Hilo Airport. We had a gentleman that was deciding he was gonna fly a small aircraft, and we had to have all hands on deck. we had to have fire, police, and ATC, so air traffic control. And we were the entity that was the fueling entity on the field. So we had to make sure that all of our wares, including the aircraft on the ground, were out of range, and the fuel tanks that were, all the trucks and all of that was scattered and appropriate. So, and still maintained airport operations until that critical time. So it was hairy, but we got them in and we got them secured, and everybody lived.
Okay, Steve, describe an emergency situation you managed on behalf of the public.
I don't believe I have any certain circumstance where I helped manage an emergency situation for the public. So I can't speak to that where I was in charge of anything. Participated during the tornado of June of 2016. There were quite a few different groups that just pitched in, and it was pretty remarkable the way this community got together and searched the neighborhood for survivors, possible injured, people missing. It was just pretty remarkable. So I belonged to some of those groups, but I didn't take charge. We had a tornado close to town a number of years prior to that, and I don't think I had much to do with it other than we notified the nursing home, hospital nursing home, notified dispatch and helped get patients moved into safety. Again, it happened when there was a fire threatening Ekalaka, just happened to be in the right place at the right time and available, so we helped move patients from Ekalaka into the Baker facility. So as far as me being in charge of anything, no, just participating and recognizing where people really pulled together and promoting that. So thank you.
Okay, Steve, this question's for you first. Will the mayor's office be accepting the offer from the county commissioners to make a land transfer to offset the monies owed to the county that have never been paid? If not, why?
The question is if the city of Baker will make an offer. Would you read that again, please? Thank you.
Yes. Yes, it does say, will the mayor's office be accepting the offer from the county commissioners? Apparently the county commissioners have made an offer to the city of Baker to make a land transfer to offset the monies owed to the county that have never been paid.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to give some background on that. And I think I can do it in less than 3 minutes. The county uses wastewater, treated wastewater from the city's wastewater plant out here from cell 3, which is ready for release. And they pump that just about 2.5 miles down to the golf course, and it sits in the pond there. They have a project where they are going to line that pond. It's a quite expensive and extensive project. In addition to that, they're going to put a new pump system in on the shoreline of cell 3, the Baker wastewater facility, to be able to pump that water and track the levels of our cell 3. The city of Baker manages wastewater for the city's needs. Instead of releasing water down the creek, we can release it to the county. We are still responsible for the nutrient in that water. The county tests it. So the county asked if they could acquire that property the golf course is on. The city owns the underlying property underneath the golf course, underneath part of the airport, also Triangle Park and Mangold Field baseball complex out here, as well as a couple other properties, 10 acres outside of town west where the old landfill was, 10 acres near Coral Creek Road. So they've asked about what we would be interested in trading. So at the time we were at a meeting in Helena, meeting with legislatures, the county was up there, the cities were up there overlapping. So we visited a bit about that. Bear in mind, the mayor doesn't make these decisions, it goes to council, but follow along with me. So we talked about that, and then we promised to look into it. So we researched that, kind of looked at the properties. They wanted to know what we would need in order to make that trade. That loan we have with the county, that is being paid on a regular basis. We make monthly or annual payments on that. That was a loan for the water main replacement project that went through town. They gave us a 0-interest loan. In return, I think we've got a 15-year payback on it. We would like to see that debt reduced to zero, because then we can go on with our next water main project in regards to the water infrastructure that we are replacing as we can afford it. So when we got back here and talked about it a bit, the county, one of the commissioners mentioned the Bonneville water line that goes up to Bonneville Cemetery. It's outside the city limits, owned by the county. There's also the sewer line that runs from Lakeview Country Club into town. There are 8 residences that are residential properties are tied into that belongs to the county, and they would like to be rid of that and have the county take it, or the city take it on. Our concerns with that are whether or not that sewer line is in good condition, so we don't take on any unknown or unnecessary liability on the city. So yes, the mayor's office is interested in making that project work. The last step here is making sure that that sewer line is in good enough condition for us to take it on. Thank you.
Okay, Terry, the same question for you. Will the mayor's office be accepting the offer of the county commissioners to make a land transfer to offset the monies owed to the county that has never been paid, and if not, why?
So the never has been paid part is really the up in the air argument here. All of this is stuff that this is $3.5 million, if I'm not mistaken, in total. That's a lot of money. If it's been being paid, okay, so that would take a little bit of that question out of that. But a land swap of property that's underneath an airport, I can tell you, it's probably not a good idea to have 2 owners of a piece of property under an airport. So I would have to actually do more digging that I already have done, and to equate where we're at, and if it has been paid, if it has not been paid, what was the original bill? How long have we been paying on it? We got 15 years to pay it off. When's with 0 interest? What's it holding up, and can we pay it off within 15 years of what date? So there's a lot of questions that I would have that would answer that.
Okay, Terry, this question's for you first. How many years do you have serving in a public position?
Is a 501c3 a public position? Well, that would give me 10 years. So I've produced and started my own 501c3 to do the air show, so that would be 10 years with just that. I also was the president of the EAA chapter, which is Experimental Aircraft Association, which is a smaller aircraft, and I also was part of the large aircraft security program and spoke in front of large audiences and business owners of very large aircraft that were going to get some legislation slapped on them for no reason, from a King Air, if you know aircraft, from a King Air all the way up to Global Express. They were going to say you can't have a steak knife on board. So they were starting to clamp down on those, and we said no, and so they backed off, meaning DC. Spoke in front of thousands of people to move and stop that forward motion. I spoke for 395 pilots who gave me 3 minutes of their time so that I can have enough time to tell them to go stuff it where they just stop being silly. You tell people they can't have a steak knife on their private aircraft. So that went to LA and Phoenix, Arizona, and we stopped it in its tracks. So I've done a lot of public stuff that I didn't even think about this. I actually moved legislation right there in Hawaii. I was in Hawaii for 17 years, from the Bitterroot to Hawaii, and they tried to change the entire state with ethanol fuel, completely. We didn't have a choice. No unblended fuel whatsoever. To a small aircraft, that stops airplanes from flying because the FAA does not allow unblended fuel or blended fuel with ethanol to fly in small aircraft. So you got almost 2 years of these guys trying to make unblended fuel work. And it was a life or death thing, and it was gonna happen, someone's gonna lose their life. And so I picked up the slate and I worked with the EAA, Experimental Aircraft Association, and we drafted 5 bills, and the 4th one passed. And we have now in Hawaii a boutique of fuel that is proper to use in small aircraft.
Okay, Steve, how many years do you have serving in a public position?
Thanks, Bill. As mayor, I've served 1 full term and 2.5 years of the previous term. Prior to that, I served 2 years as the city council. I've served 2 separate terms of 5 years on the planning board, once in the prior to the 90s, and then once more recently prior to probably 2 years, probably 2000, right in the range of 2012, 2014. As far as other public, working with public legislatively, I served on a committee with the Montana Life Underwriters Association and worked with legislature during the 90s when we helped rewrite some consumer protection laws. It was quite rewarding to have the insurance commissioner come to our organization and tell us that they had taken our recommendations en masse and incorporated those. That was pretty rewarding to show that the life insurance business, the health insurance business, we're actually looking out for the consumers in that way. I've served on committees with the legislature. I've represented before legislature on the oil and gas tax revenue that Baker was not getting for a few years, and we got that reinstated, and a few other hearings here and there through the Knights of Columbus Catholic Men's Fraternal Organization, presenting for religious issues, Christian issues. And then probably some intermediate efforts a long time ago, shortly after I got out of college. So, thank you.
Okay, Steve, this question is for you next. First, how long have you lived in eastern Montana?
You're gonna make me do the math. My folks moved here in 1959. I came along, I was 2 years old, and I don't remember much of that. That's my line. So I've been here since 1959. Thank you.
Okay, the same question for you. How long have you lived in eastern Montana?
As of September the 12th, 2021, it's been 4 years. Lovely 4 years, by the way.
Okay, Terry, this next question is for you first. As mayor, how will you support the local business, churches, schools, daycares, and hospitals?
Well, I think I've already started that. Just quite honestly, one of the first things that I did, my husband and I went and were part of the hospital questioning of what was going on at this, that, or the other was happening at the time. Sandra Kinsey, bless her heart, she wish she could be here. She introduced me to a lot of great people, and we sat and listened to there's a lot of grumbling going on. We just had gotten over COVID, and there was a lot of issues at the hospital that had to be remedied, and there was a vote for new people on the board, and so that was the start. And I saw the collaboration and the unity that the community had, and it was, I knew we were home. And I knew this home was our forever home.
Okay, Steve, as mayor, how will you support the local businesses, churches, schools, daycares, and hospital?
Thanks, Bill. In communities, big or small, one of the greatest assets it has is when its people collaborate throughout businesses, schools, hospitals, youth groups, organizations, city government. The community is never so strong as when people work together for things. Having served on economic development for probably 30 years, I think, I don't remember when SMART got started, and then we branched off into EMEDA. It was always about bringing more revenue, more people, more business to the community, and that couldn't be done by those organizations by themselves, but it was in pulling organizations together, reaching out. Chamber of Commerce, I mentioned earlier, is a big part of that. We are only as effective as our businesses are, and the best way to support business, whether we agree with their practices or not, is to communicate with them and try to understand their points of view, and then make changes as needed without doing a wholesale replacement or pushing people out. There oftentimes are things we don't know, that we make assumptions, misconceptions. We see that these days. Social media is so prevalent, and there's so much misinformation that gets put out. Somebody will have a misunderstanding of a decision that's made, whether it's a city, a business, an organization, and then people tend to just run with that instead of picking up the phone, dialing the numbers that are on the same phone they're reading off of, and talk to somebody and get some answers. So transparency is a big part of that as far as businesses and organizations working together. But we have to respect that private business is private business. Not everybody is privy to sitting in on business decisions, and we have to understand that as well. So we just have to listen, do our best, and support and promote, and that's what pulls the community together. Thank you.
Okay. Steve, this question will be for you first. Where is the money going for the fireworks that the city donates for the fire department fireworks show?
The city of Baker contributes $500 towards the fireworks fund. The firemen set off the fireworks, and the money is deposited into an account. I'm not sure which banking institution, or both of them are have that fund. So the city doesn't have anything more to do with it other than providing them the $500. The county provides a larger sum, and then the community raises quite a bit of money. So it's a community effort. There was some discussion this last year by one of the firemen, or one of the guys that puts it on. Dale Vittori was actually gave us a pretty good description of the situation they're in. They need somebody to help out, take control, and help fundraise, so we can get away from the assumption that the firemen are doing it all, because they provide a great service in being licensed and picking up the fireworks for us, and the rest of it is up to us as a community to see that it happens. So, thank you.
Okay, the same question for you. Where is the money going for the fireworks that the city donates to the fire department fireworks show?
Clean up on aisle 3. I wouldn't know, and I don't know how to address that. That would be something to look into on apparently 2 accounts that would have and hold that $500 check, and if it was consistently written for consistently $500, and that would have that receipt from that check. But I do know that this community, over and above that, is amazing in the donations to that. And one evidence of that is the size and grandeur of the actual show. And I would say that the location that we're sitting in right now is one of the big contributors to those fireworks. And so it would be just for me to go in and find out where those checks are and find out if they've been duly doled out in a timely manner, and making sure that checks and balances are done and report as such.
Okay, it says, do either of you like the state of this city at this time? So I'll just ask it personally, Terry, to you. Do you like the state of this city at this time?
I think everything has room for improvement. I don't think that you can state that, no, I don't like it here. If I didn't like it here, then I wouldn't be here investing everything that I have, or my husband and I have. I love this town. I love the people, and it's the people that keeps us here. It's Baker is an amazing place, and I've been a lot of places to know, and it's the people. The people have the salt of the earth attitude. Anything can happen. Anything. The talent is here. We have the talent. We have an asphalt plant at the edge of town. We've got buildings that in space that this can grow. This can absolutely grow, but it does need to be polished up. It does need to have attention to the infrastructure. It does need to have unity, and that comes with time and trust. And the trust just has to be built.
Okay, Steve, do you like the state of this city at this time?
Thanks, Bill. I do. There's a bit of contrast between July, when we had all the rain and the lawns were mowed and everything was green and bluebird skies, the lake was calm, and people were out biking and walking and everything else, and now we're heading into fall and the weeds have taken over some spots, and we've got a lot of dirt blowing around Main Street. I do want to mention that we do sweep regularly, but with the amount of gravel that's being hauled through town, those trucks slow down and stop at the stoplight and they dump all the dust off the truck, and there it is the next day. Anyways, we have I gotta tell a little story. This is a good story. On Terry, with Terry, whatever. When they were first here, I heard that they had bought the old Lund house, and I think everybody in town was just tickled that somebody was going to save that old house. We just really were dreading the thought of somebody coming in there with a trackhoe and tearing it down, so thank you. Terry came into the office, or into the city office, and had some questions about some things, and then she stepped into my office and said hello, and I asked her where she was from and everything, and she said they fell in love with that house and moved to Baker, she said, and it's only 5 minutes from the lake. And I stopped and said, Terry, everything is 5 minutes from the lake. And without batting an eye, she says, yeah, isn't that cool? So, we sometimes need to see the community from other people's eyes. I think that's important, to realize what we really have here. Carol's favorite line is, for a town this size. I tell you what, for the recreation opportunities and the lake and everything else we've got, there are towns of 10,000 people that don't have this. And we should be very, very proud of that. We also should take maybe a little bit more responsibility in getting things done, getting things caught up. We've got a list of things that the city is working on, some stuff planned out, some stuff underway. I spent the afternoon going through that list. I'm not going to read off all 89 items on there. Literally 89 items. So, but anyways, yeah, I am very proud of the state of this. I know that we're right now in that fall stretch where things are gray. We have the same thing in the spring. We always want white to turn to green, but we always have that gray period in between, and things need cleaning up. We need to encourage. The city's done more, unfortunately, sending out more letters this year to remind people to take care of their yards. It used to be only on citizen complaint, and And we talked about that for a while, and it's just unfair. If you live to a neat freak, you gotta have a nice yard next to them. If you live in a neighborhood that people really don't care a whole lot, well, then that's what it looks like. That's not fair to the whole community. So we know it's hard on people when they don't have time. Some people are so busy they just can't get to it, but we do send out the reminders, and we ask that people have patience with us. But yeah, the state of this community is great, and the possibilities are even better, so thank you.
Okay, Steve, this question is for you first. What have you done in your campaign thus far to connect with the citizens? What have you done in your campaign thus far to connect with the citizens of Baker?
What am I, specifically with this campaign, I've been out visiting with people. Haven't had as much time to do that as I'd like because of the different organizations that I'm in. Out visiting just off and on throughout town, mostly city council meetings. We unfortunately don't have a whole lot of people show up for those. Not sure the reason for that. Maybe we can get something controversial going on and pack the courtroom, I don't know. But just I know so many people, having grown up here and so many people grew up here, I've been getting to know a few people that appear to be new to town because I haven't seen them around, bump into them at Reynolds and visit with them and whatnot in the hardware store. But so that's it, just kind of out and about. So nothing focused, no forums or anything. So thank you.
Terry, what have you done in your campaigning thus far to connect with the citizens of Baker?
Does having 18 golden girls at my house last a little over a week ago, just really talking with the people. I'm a member of the Golden Girls, and it's not me, it's my house, that's the Golden Girl. So I have literally been with these ladies from the day one. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet some of the legacy family names, the local people that aren't legacy family names, and the homesteading families that have invited me out to their locations, and I get to smell the beautiful outdoors and hear the meadowlarks. But it's been a delight, to say the least, and it's been since the actual campaign, I've been really leaning on my elders and really listening to what they see. And I do collect old people. I have been accused of that, and I don't care. That's who I gravitate towards and I learn from, and they are my best asset. So what I've been doing to campaign has been taking a deep breath and just letting the people talk and share what they like, what they dislike, how they see it fixed, how they don't see it fixed, how their idea will work when it probably won't, or it probably will. But the perspectives out there is so vast and so wonderful that they care that much about this town to sit and talk with me. And that time that I get with those folks has just been priceless. And I keep going back. And their kids are starting to come around and hey, mom says, yeah. She says, I gotta come by and see your place. Yeah, she's right. But I really have to give it to Lydia Lund. And anybody who knew her in this room, she was my first old person here, officially. And I never met her, of course, but I live in her house. And all the inspiration around that house is really an ode to Lydia. So I thank you.
Okay, Terry, this next question is for you. First, will you strongly support the hospital in Baker?
I thought you'd never ask. Absolutely. I have stories from some of the ladies that worked there over the years, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And there's been so much that has changed in our healthcare system. And I think it's gonna turn around, and it's gonna be that little gem over there, that hospital, is gonna bloom like no one's tomorrow. And it's gonna be trusted, and the whole system is gonna change. And it's gonna start with MAHA. I don't know if anybody's paying attention, but MAHA is changing the way we raise our children and the way we focus on their health and the way we nurture them, rather than what we've experienced, as I've experienced in the 60 years that I've been. I remember the general practitioner that knew my entire body instead of all the specialists in different places. So if that changes that, then I would be happy. I would like my doctor to know me in my time of need. And that's how I grew up. And that's how my mother and my father grew up, knowing. And that was what we had trust in. The system that we have in all specialties are great, except now it's fragmented and we don't get the care of the whole body. So to me, our system is broken. And I have absolute experience in that in my own family. And I'm sure everybody here has their own story. But I think it's gonna turn around, and I know that this hospital here has the staff and the heart and the care that, if given the right tools, this can turn around, and that will make Baker trusted again in the hospital. Instead of a Band-Aid hospital or a Band-Aid station, as some people have said, it will be where you can have babies here, you can have your doctor here. I don't know at what level or how long, but I think that that's where we're headed as the future of America.
Okay, Steve, will you strongly support the hospital in Baker?
Thank you, Bill. Definitely will. I've got kind of a unique perspective, having been here. My mother was a nurse when she moved here in Baker, 1959. Did I mention that? Believe it or not, when she was working at the hospital, they had a director of nurses and a nurse, and the director of nurses did all the billing, all the bookkeeping, all the medical stuff, and the nurse took care of patients. And if the nurse needed a hand, then the director of nurses / administration went down and helped. And if there was billing to get out and there wasn't anything pressing with patients, then that nurse went up and helped with the billing. Somebody would come in and want to pay a bill. If the nurse was handy, she took the money. Not personally. Mom never took the money. That's a long time ago. We are faced with changing circumstances, and because my mother was there as a nurse and she was director of nurses, and I knew the different administrators throughout the years and different personnel. I worked there myself for a period of time. Seeing the changes that are mandated by government, not only that, but also by health insurers, also the changes in private pay requirements, the diagnostics and everything else. It's such a complex thing nowadays, and it takes so many people to manage that facility that it's just a different thing than it used to be even 10 years ago. So I do support the hospital. I trust that we have people in place that manage it well. I trust that we'll have people coming in as time goes by to fill in and to cover. Unfortunately, even the big hospitals don't have doctors staying a long time. There's so much turnover. Yes, it happens. It does truly happen. But we strive for that, we see what we can get done. But as far as confidence in the hospital, I will always trust that it will get done. Turnover is going to be an issue from time to time, but the community needs to support it. We can't just say, well, I'll go there when somebody else is there. No, we have to truly support it. It's like the grocery store. If we don't all participate in purchasing groceries from the grocery store, someday we might have to go out of town because we can't get groceries here. So same thing with everything else. We do need to pull together as a community. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, this question's for you. How would you deal with the theft of public property by a city employee?
Theft of city property by an employee is written in policy and is dealt with accordingly. Obviously, the employee might be accused, but there has to be an investigation that gets turned over to law enforcement. And then is it substantiated? The circumstances have to be looked at, and then the employee is given every right to defend themselves if it is such a matter that it is obvious and serious. If it's a minor thing that could be a mistake, the city is bound to grant some grace and issue a warning. It depends on the seriousness of the situation, but otherwise it's a recommendation for dismissal and sometimes prosecution, depending on the level. Thank you.
Terry, how would you deal with the theft of public property by a city employee?
Well, honesty is the best policy, and any theft is not good. We have law and order for a reason, and of course, evidence supports those kinds of accusations. So if the accusation has the evidence and the evidence is put out, then it needs to be brought in with it should be dealt with as a theft, not an internal issue, theft. If it is literally theft, then it's theft. To me, there's a right and wrong in everything. Stealing a pencil, is that theft? I don't know if you're accidentally keeping a pencil in your hand and calling it theft. So there are a gradient of theft. So the evidence would have to be played out, and the degree would have to warrant the steps forward.
Okay, it is 8:02. And so we will continue on with we'll do a coin flip. Mr. Zachman will call it the coin in the air and see what their choice is for the next 5 minutes. For each candidate will have 5 minutes for their closing remarks. We went through 16 questions so far. And I'd like to commend the audience. These are awesome, awesome questions. You participated in a wonderful manner.
Where'd it go?
There it is. Liberty's on top.
Never had it yet.
Heads. It is heads.
It's heads.
So you have your choice.
I'll defer.
Okay.
He's deferred.
You
You said
defer.
defer?
I defer.
You deferred. By the way, it's milk on the rocks.
And by the way, I did use a Liberty silver dollar because we are going to our liberty and expressing our liberties and our freedoms here today. So Terry, you will have the first 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
You don't have to use it. You do not have to.
Oh, yeah, I'm using all of it.
You do not have to use the full 5
I can
minutes.
stand up, I can go over it.
For your closing remarks, but you do have 5 minutes if you choose to.
Roger that. My name is Terry Mahoney, Terry Lynn Mahoney. This is my husband David in the corner over here. My husband's from Coeur d'Alene. I'm from the Bitterroot originally, and decided to have a holiday for 17 years in Hawaii. Well, I went with a different husband and he went with a different wife. And we met over there after we got rid of his wife and my husband. So we came back together with new spouses, with the approval of our children, our parents, by the way. We love Baker. It's David's fault he found the house. And I couldn't start fast enough. I loved the house at the instant I saw it. I just couldn't show him how giddy I was. We were fortunate enough to, he's a pick and shovel guy. He's a laborer for the union pretty much all his life. And I'm an entrepreneur and crazy lady who decides to do weird things, and he supports it 1,000%. I'm a patented inventor. I have a design patent with my ex-husband, and I have witnessed, there are people here that has actually seen that. I have two amazing children. They're in their late 20s and 30s, a boy and a girl. My husband has 4 adopted children that he raised from diapers with his first wife. We are so excited that the house is where it's at after 4 years. This community has taken us in and has given us more than we could ever imagine. We wouldn't have been able to do what we've been able to do unless we had this community stepping up and showing up, and just amazing. I can't even tell you how amazing it is. How do you give back? How do you give back? So we have a friend, Trucker Pete. He comes through and he brings us lots and lots of apples and pears and all kinds of stuff, and we dole it out, and we get to meet people that way, and he keeps bringing more. So there's another shipment coming in. But it allows us, this community allows us to, one, be who we are, 2, enjoy I think, one of the prettiest historical homes that is in Baker. And I don't know if y'all know, but the first doctor in town, Dr. Young, W.H. Young, built it between 1912 and 1914. And I knew more about that home and Dr. Baker, or Dr. Young, in the 3 months that it took us to close in Hawaii. We were so excited to have the history of this town and that we could mold. And then, of course, Lydia Lund, she was a big important factor in that. I heard she was a really good bridge player. But this is the darling. You guys have the most cherished lifestyle that most people never get to experience. And I say that with my whole body. I'm a country girl. I grew up in the country. I certainly did not grow up in thousands and thousands of acres. But I knew how to dress out a deer. I knew how to dress out your fish, your chickens, fresh eggs, your perfect bacon, FAA, FFA, both of those in my life. And I appreciate that in this community. To include Mr. Zachman, who showed up the minute we were in town, seeing our new life unfold. And I can't tell you how much I'd like to give more back. And if I do get your vote, I will stand up and I will stand long and hard. Thank you.
Thanks for the shout out.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind, I did type this out because so many thoughts run through my mind that I'm gonna speak way longer and I won't be able to wrap it up right or be fair to you folks. So, a couple things I wanna make clear that were brought up this evening. One of the questions as far as the loan we have with Fallon County. When we did the water main project in Baker, we were looking at going out for bonding or going financing through the state. And the county offered to loan us the money at zero interest, which made a big, big difference, if you can imagine, in a $3.5 million finance. So we worked that out. We are on a programmed repayment to the county. Every 6 months we make a payment to them. We're on track. So the project we're looking at, or the possibility of making this swap, is a matter of getting things arranged so the county can move forward with their projects and the city can move over with their projects. The difficulty in trying to get things appraised, property underneath the golf course, between governments is probably pretty cheap property. If it were two private individuals and I owned the property underneath the golf course and the other guy wanted to buy the golf course, I could tell him, well, move your golf course, I'm not selling you the land, and the price goes way, way up. We don't do that in government. So anyways, so I want to clear that up, that the city is on track, making payments to counties, that the county offered us the money to borrow, so thank you. I'm running for re-election as the mayor of City of Baker because there's more progress to be made and fiscal responsibility to be maintained. This is my lifetime home and I've raised my family here. This community has so much to offer its residents and is indeed a place to be very proud of. My parents, Paul and Frances Zachman, moved here in 1959, as I had mentioned, so my father could continue his carpentry career and my mother continue her nursing career. I was blessed to work in the carpentry business with my father and older brother, building, remodeling, and repairing homes and commercial buildings, offices, and structures in the oil fields as well. This instilled the importance of hard work and the reward of a job well done. It also gave me a sense of pride in this community because we got to create and help sustain so many permanent structures that make up the homes and buildings we have today. The skill instilled in me, in addition to training as a carpenter, was the ability to look at a building as a series of steps to completion of a desired design. My dad taught us to see each segment and its relation to other segments in our minds. Imagine any possibilities that work out or problems that need to be fixed before we would get too far into a project. This training to see what we were doing from all perspectives in the physical realm of construction has been an aid in other parts of my life as well. From serving on city, county planning boards, economic development boards, regional and state life and health insurance boards, even local and diocesan church and fraternal benefit leadership positions. Gathering data and other viewpoints, analyzing the effects of decisions on others before coming to conclusions is the method I've used and continue to do so. I acknowledge not all city decisions suit everyone. There are written policies, procedures, and Montana law that we follow. Some seem to be chiseled in stone, most are fairly well established. Citizens should understand that they can come forward, speak their mind, and engage to amend, adapt, or strengthen the guidelines that come with living in a community. It is true, so few actually do, but the opportunity is always here because we do govern under the required transparency required in the state of Montana. Our form of local government is such that I, as mayor, gather information, present as many perspectives as possible, and propose this to the council, who then reach decisions. The mayor does not vote except to break ties. They and I need your input on a regular basis. There are a lot of projects underway, and several of them are set up and planned in stages. Street improvements, water distribution system improvements, wastewater treatment system improvements, community development, business and industry support. People of this community have asked that we neither idle into mediocrity nor jump into hasty decisions, but pursue a path steadily forward. It is continuity of purpose and a deep local connection to this community that assures this. I believe that I've served the city of Baker and its residents and the outlying community well as your mayor, and I intend to continue. Ballots will be mailed out October 15th. While I do prefer on-site voting because it creates a greater significance and a sense of participation, I'll certainly accept your votes any way they come in. I appreciate your continued support and your votes to help us all continue making improvements and to continue establishing Baker as a great place to live and learn, work and play, raise families, and enjoy life amongst friends. Thank you.
Well, please, thank you, candidates. Please give a round of applause to our candidates. I think they've done a wonderful job. I would like to thank all the audience. You've been a gracious audience. You've really done a great job. It's been a respectful and pleasant, informative event for me. I've really enjoyed this event. And I hope everyone stays engaged with the city council, with the mayor, whoever gets elected. If we are to have a nation of the people, for the people, and by the people, we the people must become involved and get engaged. And he said a lot of times he hadn't had anybody come into his office hardly and visit with him. So please, you know, if you guys have concerns, this is the time for we the people and to take back this constitutional republic and to become involved, and that's what it does take. So I thank you all for coming. We thank you all for putting all these questions in here. We got way more questions than we have time for. We thought an hour would be probably sufficient for our first forum because we didn't want to keep people too long. But thank you all for the wonderful questions. We will be compiling these questions and getting them out on Facebook and the public and giving them, the rest of them, to the candidates so the candidates know what they are and what your concerns are. Because this is about you. This is about your concerns for your community. And we're thankful for everyone here that got involved. So, thank you for coming. And I think if candidates want to, they can stay and mingle for a while. Do you guys have anything else to say? I mean, if anybody wants to stay and mingle, well, they can. And so, thank you very much.